I didn't want to be over there in the first place. I wanted to be out in the Pacific where the Navy's air war was. But we didn't do dually squat. I don't know why we as far as I was concerned, they wasted my time. And we saw 2 enemy airplanes while we were over there, 2 German planes. And I was fortunate enough to be airborne at the time, and I found them both. And we shot them both down. And that's the only real action we had while we were there. While we were doing that, we were on a combat air patrol. The rest of the fleet of our airplanes were cruising up and down the Norwegian coast looking for German shipping. They found quite a bit of it. I think they ran some of them aground, sank quite a few. Altogether, I think there were about 8 ships that were either sunk or had been run aground.
I was wondering, you said you shot down the 2 German aircraft?
Yeah.
I would like to know, can you expand on that a little bit?
Oh, yeah, well, the first one, we were on, 4 of us were on combat air patrol, and we relieved the 4 that were ahead of us. I wasn't even supposed to be on the flight, but I used to volunteer to we always had to have a spare airplane aboard for every flight that we launched. So when this 4 was up there, my flight leader and my section leader both had been transferred back to the States, and I was kind of in limbo. I didn't have a flight to call my own, and I used to volunteer to man the spare airplane, and especially we had 3 people who seemed to have a lot more trouble with their engines checking out than anybody else. And whenever one of those guys was scheduled to fly, I made sure that I was the spare pilot. And I got airborne almost every time I manned the spare. Consequently, I got in 100 carrier landings, and I was the only one that came close. The other guys, most of them got about 60 to 65 during the cruise. But one of my reasons, too, was that ship was a terrible thing to ride. If you wanted to get seasick, man, that was the place to be. And I got seasick all the time. So I used to volunteer. I started first volunteering just to get off the ship and get in an airplane. I was fine in an airplane, but that seasickness was fun. Anyway, I was a spare pilot on this combat air patrol. I was the last man, 4 planes, I'm tail end Charlie. So, weather is lousy, and clouds everywhere, and solid overcast above us. And we got vectored out, and the group ahead of us had been vectored out and vectored around, and they'd spent 2 hours looking for this bogey that the radar control officer said was out there, and they couldn't find him. So we got out there, and we were all around, and we couldn't find him either. finally, so they said, okay, vector this back to the ship. Well, I knew this radar control officer. He was very good, and if he said he had a target out there, you could bet your bottom dollar that there was an airplane out there. So we started back, and our leader was full throttle. Everybody was full throttle, and including me, but I couldn't keep up with the rest of them. My airplane just wouldn't go that fast. And so I'm in the back, and we're spread out like this, a couple of miles between each airplane. And I kept looking behind us because I said, by golly, that guy, he knows what he's doing. Got to be a target back there. And I kept looking and looking and looking, and finally I saw this airplane come out from behind a cloud. Well, this way, there's a cloud. He came out from behind the cloud, around the front of it, and around the back. And I'm way out here like this, but several miles. I hollered tally-ho and turned, and my leader, second section leader, turned, and the two of us headed back, and I told him where I'd seen the airplane. So I pointed out the cloud that he had come out from around and where he went. So we headed toward this side where he came from before, and we were still, probably 5 or 6 miles from there when here he came again around the same side. So we kept going, and he saw us about the same time, and he turned and headed away from us. Well, my leader there, Boyd, took up a position, or headed for a position to the right side of him, he being here. I came down, I'd made a run from dead astern, and I couldn't see that I was doing any damage to him or not. I was just shooting at him, but I don't know. I couldn't tell whether I was hitting him or at all. So finally I broke off, and I took up a position on the port side of the bomber down here. My leader was up here on the starboard side, and got in a position to make a good run, and I was getting there. He came in, made a firing pass, and again, I came in behind him and made a firing pass there, and broke off and went back up, and at that time, the bomber, this was a Ju-88, he was smoking, and so I knew we'd gotten some good hits. And Boyd came in again from here. About the time he finished, I rolled in and came in on the second run from here. Got in about like this to him, about 1,000 feet away, shooting, and he just exploded into a big ball of flame. And little pieces went dropping into the ocean. Well, then we got back together and headed back towards the ship, and they called us again and gave us a vector out in the other direction. Well, we never did get very high because the clouds were really, really thick. We went out there maybe 30 miles, and we came to just a wall of water coming down. It was like a wall, and almost black inside. And we were spread out like this as usual because nobody could keep up with the leader. And he got to the wall of water and he turned, went parallel to it, and his leader, his wingman followed him, third guy followed him, and I was coming up to it, and I looked in there and I saw this shadow going across this way. I called tally-ho and told everybody where he was, and we all piled in there, and I soon lost everybody. Took up a heading that I thought this guy was on. I dropped down to about 10 feet off the water so I could see the water and maintain the best I could visual flight rules, at least by seeing the water, and I could keep from running into it. And I'm about 10 feet off the water. I got full throttle. I'm looking like this, watching the water, looking around, and all of a sudden, about 11:30 ahead of me, I'm not very far at all. Here comes a strange airplane, and I only had time to pull up and pull the trigger. And we went by each other like that. We're probably both doing better than 300 knots. And I was hoping to hit this port engine. The airplane was a twin float airplane with twin engines, and the floats were right below the engines. I almost collided with him. I was so close. I don't think I hit the engine, but I hit the float below it with 50 calibers, and pieces flew off the float, and it didn't disintegrate completely, but it ruined the float. And I went by him like that, turned around, tried to come back, and of course we were both going so fast, and we separated pretty rapidly. I turned around and I could barely see him out in front of me, and I'm still full throttle trying to catch him, and I never could quite catch up to him, and I thought, well, maybe I never will. So I thought, well, I know he's out of range. He must be at least 2,000 feet, maybe 2,500 feet ahead of me. And I figured the range was such that I probably, if I aimed right at him, my bullets would be, usually you'd get a bullet drop of about 3 feet per 1,000 feet of distance. Bullet would drop about 3 feet. So I thought, I don't know how far out I am. Maybe I'm 2,000, 3,000 feet, something like that. So I pulled up and way back here, pulled up and aimed about 20 feet or so above him. I figured maybe I could just lob some bullets into him. And